Alright guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be showing off the new Fiend Smiths and how busted they can be turn 1. And the deck can actually do really good turn 2 as well, and that's because, well, the magical musket archetype is actually really well mixed in with this deck. So basically, let me go ahead and kind of sum it up, because this first duel is going to be relatively fast because it's going to lock the opponent out and have multiple negations. So the thing that makes it really good is Fiend Smith Tactus over here just lets you add a light fiend monster, and then you have to discard a card. And then you can also banish it to fusion summon a Fiend Smith fusion monster. So this gives you so much utility. It's basically like a 1 card that could be a kaiju, it could be a free special summon, and then you banish it and you get another bonus effect. And considering the Fiend Smith Link monster is only 1 light fiend monster, you can just go straight into this. And then the other monsters, you can set up either 2 or 3 negations with the links as equips. But they work really well with the magical muskets because they just happen to work well because they are all going to be light fiends. So it just fits the archetype super well, because not only can you get free advantages off of these, but this allows your plays on your turn 2 to just go right into max, and if they stop max, you can still go for another combo, because normally magical muskets, if you normal summon and then that one got like destroyed, well, the archetype fell apart quite fast. But with this, you can still banish and you have a lot more options, and it works well because, well, you just activate spells. So you go right into the Fiend Smith over here, which is like their main card. And what's crazy is this archetype is still in its infancy. We only have just a few cards for the Fiend Smith archetype. So I would say this deck is looking to get way better. So you can banish this, and then you go for a fusion of the Fiend Smith Lacrimosa over here. So it's just 2 light fiend monsters, so you can maybe use a magical musket if you need to, after it's either used its effect or you already have multiple copies, because just like all of them, they're like a once per turn effect anyways. And then this one over here, if it's fusion summon, you can target a light fiend and either add it to your hand or special summon it. So you can start banishing even the other magical musketeers, or if they happen to get banished, you can then re-summon them. So in this instance over here, you can go right back into the card that you usually use anyways for the fusion of it, and this card's always just going to be utilized as material because you just discard it to add the Fiend Smith spell / trap. So you're always going to have this card as fodder. And so what you're going to go for is Beatrice. Now Beatrice is going to actually activate 2 of the same effects. It's a quick effect. You attach a material and then you get to dump 1 card into the graveyard. Also, it's going to reset here. But the main thing that we want is to re-summon the Fiend Smith again with its own effect, because it has this effect of, if this card is in your graveyard, you can shuffle a light fiend monster from your graveyard into the deck / extra deck, and then you get to resummon the card. So it basically gets to come back on its own. But then also Beatrice is going to go ahead and dump a card. And so one of the cards that you're going to dump for this busted turn 1 combo is going to be the Transaction Rollback. So this makes you pay half of your life, but you get to target your normal trap card in your opponent's graveyard, except for itself, and that effect becomes that card's activation effect. And also you can banish this card from your graveyard and pay half of your life points and target a normal trap except for itself, and that effect becomes that card's activation. Now you don't even have to have the condition met, which is actually what makes this so busted, because when to see, guys, what we're going to be busting out with this play via spaghetti rolls over here. So we're going to go ahead and make the Fiend Smith other Link monster, which is a Link 2, and it's just 2 monsters including a light fiend. So during your main phase, you get to fusion summon a fiend monster from your extra deck by shuffling its materials from your graveyard back into the deck. So you get to recycle all of the things that you make. So now we're going to go ahead and activate its effects, shuffle those cards back, and then go for Des Irae. So Des Irae is the card that's going to give you multiple negations. So this is a quick effect. It requires the Fiend Smith and 2 light fiend monsters, which again, the whole archetype is that, so it's very easy. And its quick effect is you get negate the effect of a number of face-up cards on the field until the end of this turn. So you can negate whatever you need to. That could be, field spells, and it's really good for that, up to the total Link rating of Link monsters equipped by this card. So you'll get Sequenta, obviously, because this is how you kind of bust out the card in the first place, and then you can go for Requiem, which is going to be a Link rating of 3. So that's how you would get multiple. Now in this instance, we just have 2 over here. So what are the combos here? Because I was looking at this and I was like, is that really even that good to win? Yes, it's busted, alright? So wait until you see what actually happens here. So Beatrice is going to dump another card. This is where the bustedness happens. This card over here, Ghost Meets Girl, the Masterful Mayakashi Saga over here. You tribute 1 or Link monster, and then neither player can special monster from the hand, deck, or extra deck. And since you do have discard outlets for this, even if you draw one of the cards, you still get to pull off the combo. It just makes so your Beatrice can actually dump a lot more other things that you would want to. It's specifically going for the Fiend Smith. That could be another option to dump to the graveyard if you already have this. But if you happen to draw it, it still works. Ideally, yeah, drawing 2 would kind of be a little bit more challenging, but there's other ways to get rid of it. Anyways, this card over here makes it so neither player can special summon monsters from the hand, deck, or extra deck for the rest of this turn. So basically you have a 1-turn lockdown. Your opponent cannot go for special summons. So at that point you pretty much win the game because that's just going to be GG's over here. And remember, your magical musketeer Caspar has already added 1 card, and then you just place it in your other zone. Like if you were to use this card would be 1 negate. So how do we get all of these extra negations, and how many negations do we get? So this one over here, this is pretty much a GG. You also get to burn your opponent, but it's like whatever, it doesn't really matter. But the main thing that we get with this that is so good is Caspar is going to add 1 card, so you'd have 1 negation in your hand. So this is 1 negation here. This one is a link 2, so that's 2 extra negations. That's 3. And then whatever you add, because whenever if a spell trap card is activated in the column, you get to add another 1. So we have 2 negations here, and then this one already added 1, so that's 3. And then whatever you add, that's 4 negations. It's basically 4 negations, and then on top of that, what you would get is your opponent cannot special summon. And it can go further beyond it if you happen to draw another one, then you can get to 5. But for the most part, I would say the consistent way to do it is probably about 4 negates. This card, though, if you happen to have, like, this guy just realized he lost over here because, well, he just stopped that. So it's going to be GG's. So let me go and show you guys a duel where the opponent gets to kind of play a little bit more than, like, you know, no special. Because that's like the wombo combo busted turn 1 play that you'd want to try to go for. So Starfire is going to activate its effect, and you're just going to go to Caspar. It's the bread and butter if you've played Magical Musketeers, and I thought this archetype was going to be the most, like, tier 1 when it came out. I still think this deck is really good, but now with the new Fiend Smiths, unfortunately the combo got stopped. So he still has a good amount of cards because you still have Last Stand Desperado, so that's 2 disruptions / negations over here already. And what's cool is Santa Claus is actually searchable in the deck, so you have a searchable Kaiju in the deck as well. And then there's also the Mr. Rune, so this could actually apply. You can target an effect monster opponent controls, you get to negate the effect of that, and then you get to banish the top 3 cards of the opponent's deck. That's not really too important. It's not like a deck out variant of anything, but just being able to activate any, you know, quick play on your opponent's turn and then being able to get some free advantage is great. You could even run maybe like the Book of Moon, that like the Super Book of Moon where you get to discard a card, right? Where at Book of Moons 2. I was thinking that could be an option. I would actually include Super Poly in the build as well, because that card I feel like is so good in Yu-Gi-Oh these days. And you see the Makonko player, he's just going to be losing out to the Santa Claus, so just basically getting Kaiju'd over here. And then again, the thing that's so nice with the Magical Musketeers is you can go into the Link monster and then just get so much free advantage. Once again, using the Fiendsmith Tractus to get the free Fable Lurie, and it's just a free summon. I was thinking that he was going to go for some sort of synchro plays, because that's kind of what Fabled was originally kind of designed for. You could probably come up with some other crazier ideas with this deck, but this is kind of the bread and butter. You make Beatrice, and then Beatrice gives you free extra cards, dumps in the double, and then your opponent cannot play the next turn. Now, Makonko is one archetype that I would say doesn't instantly lose to no special summons because they're all about equipped. But once you equip, this is like the combo where you'd get 5 negates. So again, consistent 4 negates. 5 negates is going to be a little bit hard to pull off. You'd have to draw into 1 extra negation, but technically is possible, right? So we have Desperado over here as well. So this now we have 2 links equipped to it, but the link rating is going to be 3. So this is 3 negations here, and then obviously Caspar is going to get you another one. This is another negation, so that's 3, 4, 5, and then this is going to make it so your opponent cannot special summon, and that's just pretty much GG. So he's going to go ahead and negate their effects over there. So no drawing going to be happening over there. He's going to pay again. Once again, the Mayakashi card is now copied. Now this card just copies the card, so in theory you can play more than 1, but I don't think that there's a necessary reason to play more than 1. You're going to have enough, and then again, the Magical Musketeers will facilitate extra disruptions, so you can just, like, look at that. He just already negated all 3 of those cards right there with that 1, because you get to negate multiple cards up to the link rating. So that's where Des Array comes in. So you have a lot of utility with this deck. And then I saw some other cards here, and I'll give you guys the deck profile as well for this. I think this is going to be a deck that a lot of people will be interested in, because it has a turn 1 basically auto win. If you can't special summon in Yu-Gi-Oh, it's kind of game over, and it's like really hard to stop that like trap effect in the grave over there unless I like crow it immediately. But nonetheless, he's going to go ahead and get some damage in. and his opponent's just got a Kaiju. That's probably not looking too good. Is he going to get the prep? No, of course that's not going to go through, so he's going to go for cross damage. And this is an interesting play because he's negating Majesty's Fiend, so neither player can activate monster effects, but then since he's negating it, Caspar would then get its effect, so he can actually search out, and then he can also just negate all the cards with Desire anyway, so it doesn't matter. As the Mikanko stuff is all about the equip stuffs, where at the damage step, if it battles, you get target ability to bounce it back, and it can't be destroyed by card effects. And then I think the Mikanko is kind of like your opponent takes the battle damage. Yeah, it's kind of like Gustos. This archetype actually does beat a lot of meta stuff, surprisingly, but nonetheless, Spaghetti Rolls, big shout outs to him over here. Here is the deck profile in case any of you guys want to mess around with it. I actually do want to mess around with it because I do really like the Magical Musketeer archetype. I think it's one of the underrated archetypes in the game that never really got to see like S tier play, but it was such a good deck for like a couple weeks, but then other things came out. I think this was like the time where like Zoo was also like really relevant, yeah, it was insanely powerful when it first came out, but it never like did any huge amazing things as far as I can recall with the competitive scene. But yeah, I'll mouse over the cards. But big shout outs to Spaghetti Rolls, the link down below. Guys, give him a follow for this build. I think this is really cool because it's a new archetype fusing with an old archetype. As when I was covering the Fiendsmith, I'm like, you can't make a deck out of Fiendsmiths. And the reason why is there isn't enough cards. There's literally 8 cards for the archetype, so you can't really make a pure Fiendsmith deck considering there's just one monster. But obviously you mix it in with like Fableds, and I mentioned that, and the crazier thing is that it works well because they're all light fiends over here, because one of the cards requires you to have all light fiend, but it just gives you a token, but it lets you just go straight to the link monster, and then you can combo off with the other plays from there. So I think it's really good. But yeah, this is the archetype. Plus, you get to search out a Kaiju, and that's always good for lots of different archetypes. But that's going to wrap it up for the vid, guys. Let me know what you think of the new Magical Musketeer Fiendsmiths. I think it's going to be a pretty good deck. Like I said, I would make some adjustments for the build that I want to go for, and I'll probably give you guys some gameplay of a different build. Probably would run No More Mr. Runes, and then I'd probably drop this card too, and then I'd pump out Super Polys, and then the Super Book of Moon. I forgot what it's actually called, but it's the Book of Moon that you discard one there for like these cards, because these are basically, well, it's this and this. These are the 2 bricks. Like, you don't really want to draw them, but if you do draw one, I think it's totally fine. Drawing double could become a problem, because this card, you obviously want to not discard the other card. You want to discard the fabled card that you would search out usually with the card anyways, but you can still search out a Fiendsmith and then just keep on going from there. But anyways, that's gonna wrap it up. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. If you're new here, hit subscribe, turn the bell so you don't miss out on another build of the Musket Smiths is what Spaghetti's calling it, but big shout outs again to him for his build. But anyways, take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.